Welcome back, Curry Crew. Today we have a delicious recipe for you guys, so I'm not going to delay it any further. Let's get into it. So guys, today's recipe is going to be super delicious, super easy to make, and we're going to jump right in. But before we do that, like always, punch that notification bell, and we are on the road to 300, so share our video so that we can grow our Curry Crew, and let's jump into the recipe. So guys, today we're making some delicious vegetable jalfrezi. So first we're going to take a pot of water and we're going to bring it to a boil over medium heat, and then we're going to throw in 4 medium tomatoes and blanch them in the hot water for about 2 to 3 minutes or until the skin starts to soften. Then we will take these tomatoes out of the water, and then we will either run it under cold water for a few minutes or place it into an ice bath for the same amount of time. Then what we're going to do is we're going to take these tomatoes and we're going to blend them in the blender until it becomes a fine puree. And after we blend up our tomatoes, we're going to pour this mix through a strainer so that we can separate the puree from the pulp. And we want to just keep mixing the blended mixture while it's going through the strainer so that you can help the separation process and also speed it up. Once you're left with only the pulp in the strainer, you can get rid of the pulp and you can set aside the puree until later because we're going to be using it later on in the recipe. So then in a clean pan, add a tablespoon of oil and let it heat up a bit over medium heat. You will know your oil is hot enough when it starts moving around in the pan, kind of like how water would be moving back and forth. It should be very easy to move it back and forth. Then we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of cumin seeds. And once they start sizzling, we're going to start adding in some of our veggies and our spices. So the first thing we're going to add in is half of an onion chopped, and then we're going to saute the onions for a few minutes until they become nice and soft. At this time, your kitchen is going to be filled with some nice sounds of onions and cumin seeds all sizzling in the pan, and all of the wonderful aromas starting to fill up the room. Next, we will take 1 tablespoon of fresh ginger, garlic, and green chili paste. So an easy way to make this would be to take 1 green chili, 2 to 3 cloves of garlic, and a small piece of ginger, and just smash it with a mortar and pestle, or finely chop it into very tiny pieces and then just mix it all up. Once we add this into the pan, just give it all a nice little mix, and then lower your heat so that the spices that we're about to add don't start to burn, because you don't want burnt spices in your gravy. So you're going to add in 1 teaspoon of cumin coriander powder. Then you're going to add in half a teaspoon of turmeric powder. Next goes in half a teaspoon of red chili powder, preferably if you have Kashmiri red chili powder. Then we're going to add in half a teaspoon of garam masala, and then we're just going to give it all a nice little mix, and we're going to cook out our spices because raw spices are going to taste horrible, so you definitely want to make sure that you cook your spices on the pan and in the heat for at least a minute or so. Then once our spices have been cooked and well blended, we're going to add in our tomato puree from earlier, and then after you add in that, you're going to give it a little mix and add in some salt to taste. Give it all a nice little mix, and then cook it on low to medium heat for about 10 minutes. So next we took some cashews and we had just soaked them in some water for about 30 minutes to an hour, or until they started to become a little bit soft. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take these cashews and we're just going to blend them into a nice paste. And then we are going to take this cashew paste and add it into our gravy. This will not only help thicken the gravy, but it will also add a nice nuttiness to the base. If you're allergic to nuts, feel free to skip this step. Give this all a nice little mix and again cook for 3 to 4 minutes or until the gravy thickens up. Next, we're going to start adding in our veggies. So the first one is going to be half a cup of boiled and chopped green beans. Then we will add in half a cup of boiled and chopped cauliflower. Next goes in 1 cup of boiled peas and carrots. And then finally, we're going to add in half a cup of corn kernels. You can use fresh corn kernels or you can take frozen corn kernels and again give them a boil. So the reason we're boiling our veggies beforehand is so that we can cook them, so that when we add it into the gravy we don't need to cook our veggies for too long. We're only trying to incorporate it into the gravy and mix it together so that all the spices and all the flavors become blended into one. Finally, we're also going to add in 1 bell pepper chopped. However, this we're going to use fresh because we want it to retain its crunch, so we're not going to boil this and let it get all soft. Then we will give this all a nice little mix, and then we're going to add in 1 to 2 pinches of kasuri methi or dried fenugreek leaves. Give it a mix, take it off the gas, and then add in 2 to 3 tablespoons of heavy cream. Give it all one final mix, and our vegetable jalfrezi is ready to go. It smells delicious, and I'm ready to dig in. So guys, here's our delicious vegetable jalfrezi at the end. So I'm gonna dig in right now. It looks so good. It smells amazing. So good, guys. It is so delicious. You can add paneer in here if you want later on. You can eat this with rice or you can eat it with roti. It's so good. It is spicy, it is flavorful, and if you don't like vegetables, this is gonna make you fall in love with vegetables. That's how great this is. So guys, try this out at home. Let us know how it turned out for you, and keep on cooking.